Okay, so now that I see that I can talk on this now, so if I don't feel like talking, I'll just type, but I'll try to make this brief because my phone only has so much storage, right? So with this, right, 15-minute, what do I have like labeled here? BSL, SSL, buy side liquidity, buy stops, sell side liquidity, sell stops. Now this range that the ES has formed from New York sessions volatility is, what is that? That is, this range is, so right now we're trading in a 74 point range, 74 give or take, so a 74 point range. That's a lot of liquidity to move within, and within those ranges we've created even smaller ranges, right? So we also have, I'll just make it simple. We have this low, make that black dotted, and then clone that, and then we have, where is it? My thumb is in the way. This high. So we have that low, that high, that low, that high. So we're just coiling and coiling and coiling, creating a range. And we have an even smaller range inside of that range, which would be this high. And I'll make that this, and make it probably a little bolded. And then this low. So the price is ranging, consolidating. Why is that? News. What news do we potentially have on Monday? Right? So that's the thinking. So overnight, I just want to see how we trade within this range. These would be levels that I'll wake up and see where we are. Because most of my analysis for the next day is formed after midnight. So I need to see what the Asian range does, or what this Sunday open range does, what London does, and then what midnight and 8:30 open presents, right? So that's the ranges that I'm looking for on this. I'm gonna pause this real quick as I jump to another time frame, so don't be alarmed. Okay, continuing where I was. Well, not where I was, but same topic. Okay, on a monthly, right? We have obviously been in an expansion down, expansion lower, expansion lower. I have these levels marked as levels to look at, or I had these levels marked earlier because I was like, the previous year open, if as we keep dropping, are we gonna find some support there? No, we didn't. So great, right? Then we took out March liquidity from last year. And that's like 2021 liquidity, right? So March low taken out, February these equal lows taken out, and then the next level I have is December, right? And as we move lower, I'm anticipating, some form of reaction here. And this isn't me saying that like I'm the one that said this or I'm pioneering. This is just my thoughts, It's gonna align with other people's thoughts, and that can be a good or bad thing. It just depends on what those thoughts are. So that low there, and as we come down into that gap, right, that fair value gap, we have the ES's monthly OB, right? Monthly bullish OB. So it's technically these two down candles, but since this first candle encompasses the range of this candle, I'm just going to draw it over that. But it does count both. Both of these are counted as one monthly order block. It's not, this is the order block and this is the order block. That are two separate things. They're all one thing. So as we approach this area, this is where I'm looking for some form of price sensitivity to the upside, right? Because with this monthly expansion lower, I could erase these levels and then put this December one at the top and the right. Okay, so as we've expanded down, unless we come back up here or we close up in this area up here, which is 3,800, this is creating, right, a gap. It's not finished yet, but it's creating some form of gap. We have this candle low here. This candle's potential close is below this low, and the open will be around where this candle closes. So that will create a gap, right? So that's another area I'm looking at for any upside bounce, because that's normally, what is that, from where we are? That's a 3% bounce. That's 126 points. So entirely possible in a week or two. Given volatility, it could be expedited. But I want to see how we react to this monthly order block range, because this will be the first time we touch this monthly order block. From the expansion away from it, we have not come back to this order block. So this is prime liquidity. And the range of this order block is 389 points. So this range is already a 10% range that we could play in. That's a big range to move in, right? That's a range that could fake you out. That's a range that makes you think, oh, we're going lower. And then we rock it back up to these equal highs up here, right? To these highs, to this swing high, and then these equal highs, right? So I want to see how we move within this range. That's kind of like the main thing with that. So that's cool. But also the mean threshold of an order block, which is just the middle of it. It's just ICT lingo for the middle. I want to see how price reacts, if I could get it as close to the middle as I can, because the midpoint doesn't stay on the entire time. Okay, that's close enough. So I want to see what price does at the top, so the high of this order block. So I'm looking at 35.85.50, 34.04.75, and then 31.98 flat as monthly expansion lower, as high time frame expansion lower, because the monthly MMSM, the market maker sell model, is playing out how sell model is supposed to be. Left side bullish expansion, a break in market structure, and then retest of some form, and then we drop, right? And the retest, if you're wondering, was on this candle. Wait, I forgot the magnet. It's on. Wait, man, this is clunky on my phone, yo. Just bear with me. I'm sorry. What's this? Right, we have the breaker, a high, a low, a higher high, a lower low. This candle finally closed below this low, making a lower low, and then the next month retested, which was May, retested the range of this before some expansion lower. Then this month opened, and now the real expansion happened. So this was a retest month, and this is expansion month. There's not really any real consolidation to say, so that's why I'm looking at this order block, right? Because if the top of it isn't respected, this range from the high to the open isn't respected, then we're coming to the mean threshold, and if the mean threshold isn't respected, then we're coming to these equal lows under here, right? These relatively equal lows. All these months have around the same lows. This area right here. This low, and this low, and this low. All lows. So this rundown would fill a gap. Ignore this order block, take out lows. Maybe that run on the lows might be like a turtle soup, right? So all of those things are possible. But this is just like a test for if I ever do more like voice things, because I don't know if I'm gonna make this a thing, but this is mainly for me. But I'll keep it as something in mind. But for the trading, until it gets like a hinder, I'll just type what I see. So that's kind of all I have. I'll pause again. Let me clean this up, and then we'll continue. Weekly wise, just continuing where I was. Weekly wise, all these green lines were targets, right? As we went lower, because as we expanded lower, we're obviously gonna seek out lows. So any low I saw, and this is like, you could draw a trend line along this, right? So that's prime liquidity, because that's an area that, if you believe in ICT concepts, retail traders will look at, okay, this is support, we should bounce, but we're not having a real bounce, right? This week wasn't really, that's not a bounce. That's expansion lower. So we took out 3 of those levels. 3 of those taken. So again, this same one resides right at the top of this order block, which is also the top of this monthly breaker. Right? It looks weird because it's on the weekly chart, but on the monthly chart, it's just this area. And this bullish breaker is the same as the bearish one up here. Right? How it had a high, a low, a higher high, a lower low. This had a low, a high, a lower low, taking this low out, and then a higher high. Then a retest, which this retest created this order block. So that's what I'm thinking, like maybe the breaker will be actually retest, because we sweep the lows under the order block. So that's kind of weird, but as price makes its way down, that's what it's gonna be. Intraday, not really much. I'm not the best with high time frame, so again, this is study for me, right? Because now it's about study and growth. So high time frame, I'll just post my thoughts, right or wrong. I really don't care, because I'm not live trading, right? If I'm live trading, it's to protect my account, but I'm not actively live trading right now. It's just I need to get my bearings straight with excuse me, with reading price, like understanding high time frame, because I ignore high time frame most of the time. So not ignore, but I suck at reading. So instead of stay sucking, right? Pause. But instead of staying confused or not knowing what's going on, I am just taking the time to read it now. So, but on the daily, right, we can see that one we formed just like on the 15-minute inside the range of this daily candle. So far we have an inside day. That will change as New York volatility or even London opens, because London can give a extended move, but we're in this range. So you're looking at 37.17, 39.30, 36.39. Now with that day's formation, we have le gap, a fair value gap formed. Right? I hate when it does that. With this, right, we have this. So this would be running the day's high, right? If we come up here, that would be us running, taking out the previous day's buy side liquidity and entering a gap, which also sits in this daily bearish order block, right? Daily bearish OB. Am I doing this right? Yeah, I'm doing this right. Okay. I'm kind of tripping. This daily OB right here. Daily OB there. I did that wrong. God, I'm tired. Okay. Red. Great. So running, honestly, I want to see us run up into this area so that we can then flush lower between these. Honestly, I had this low labeled, but both of these lows now are what? Relatively equal lows, right? Because they're roughly in the same area. They're not clean equal lows, but they're relatively equal. So relative gives nuance, right? So I want to see some form of price doing, not that, it's not meant to click. Okay. Price doing this in this area, and then this. Tomorrow, no, but throughout the week, something like that. That's kind of what I'm expecting, because right now market outlook or sentiment isn't really bullish, right? It's bearish. It's the Fed doing what they do with their hikes. It's all of these things coming, all these, the worldly, the rate hikes across global countries, and all these, just all this, just going on, right? So over the week, I can assume this. Now, they can overextend it, right? They could get overzealous, and they could take us like this, right? That is something I expect. But at the end of the week, I expect possibly a run below these lows, right? But me saying this and my thesis being simply with this technical analysis, just being running that day's high into this gap, either tapping it or filling it, which is also by this order block on an already bearish market. Is this sell model, this high time frame monthly / weekly sell model that's going on. That's kind of what I expect, but I want to see a run up higher first. So that's just kind of my thoughts with that. Nothing. Is there anything else I can see, like on the 8-hour? Okay, see, on the 8-hour, we're still, barring the daily, I have to go back, the daily OB, right, which I have to make that available there. The daily OB, see, now this adds a little bit more to the short that I'm thinking, right, because I already have the daily order block I'm looking at, and the previous daily high being ran potentially. And I'm also seeing that we have this, not also seeing, but I saw this was formed last week, but this bearish breaker on the 8-hour chart, right? So you see prices, oh no, I deleted it. Okay, you see prices having a problem with getting there. Every time it enters the range of this, it can't break into that. So I want to see some kind of overzealous run, right, into this daily gap. I mean, not daily, Jesus Christ. This 8-hour gap, right? This 8-hour gap. Even though we did have a poke into it on Friday, now that we have some accumulation of highs there, I would like to see price run some form of buy-side liquidity in this 8-hour gap, which is in an 8-hour breaker, which is in a daily order block. So these things are all accumulating. That's what my bias is on the week. I haven't really